Have you ever read a really good story and wanted to tell someone about it? But when you try, you don't exactly know what to say? Stories are so full of good information that it can be hard to figure out what to share and what not to share. Today, I'm going to show you a strategy called summarizing to help you pick out what's important in a story. But first, let me show you what not to do.
Hey, Miss Fugate. I heard you finished a new book.
I did.
What was it about?
Well, once upon a time, there were 3 little pigs. The pigs lived in a house with their mother. One day, their mother said, "It's time for you to go and build your own houses." So the 3 little pigs set out to build houses of their own. The first little pig wanted to be done quick, so he made his house out of straw. The second little pig also wanted to be done quick, so he built his house out of sticks. The third little pig took his time and built a strong, sturdy house of bricks. One day, the big bad wolf showed up. He knocked on the first pig's door. Little pig, let me come in." "Not by the hair of my chinny chin chin. I won't let you in." So the wolf said, "I'll huff and I'll puff and I'll blow your house down." The first little pig got out just in time and ran to his brother's house of sticks. "The big bad wolf is coming," he said. Pig 2 said, "Quick, come inside." Along came the big bad wolf and knocked on the door. Little pigs, let me in." "Not by the hair of my chinny chin chin. I won't let you in." "Well, then I'll huff and I'll puff and I'll blow your house in." And he did. The 2 little pigs got out just in time and ran to the third little pig's house of bricks. "The big bad wolf is coming," they cried. The third little pig let them in and shut the door. Soon the wolf knocked. Little pigs, let me come in." "Not by the hair of my chinny chin chin. I won't let you in." So the wolf said, "I'll huff and I'll puff and I'll blow your house down." And he huffed and he puffed and he huffed and he puffed, but still the brick house stood strong. The wolf got really mad and said, "If I can't blow the house down, I'll climb on the roof and go down the chimney." The pigs heard him on the roof. "Oh no, he's on the roof. He's coming down the chimney." The third little pig said, "Quick, get a pot of hot water." The pigs got a pot of water and put it under the chimney. The wolf came down and plop, landed in the pot of hot water. "Yow!" he cried, and he ran away, never to be seen again. And the 3 little pigs lived together in the brick house happily ever after. The end. Whew. That was way too much information. I basically retold the whole story. Doing it that way takes too long. And it can actually confuse the person that you're talking to, or if you're writing, the person that's reading your summary. Because not everybody's going to be able to have the pictures or a traveling puppet show like I did. So today, instead of retelling the whole story, we are going to make a summary using the beginning, the middle, and the end. A summary is a brief statement of the main points of a story. It's really useful when you're trying to tell somebody else what a story was about, or it's also really good to do when you're reading to yourself. Good readers, when they're reading, stop and say, "What did I just read? What was important? What do I need to remember?" That's when you summarize. The type of summary that we're going to do today uses the beginning, the middle, and the end. And for each part, you're going to think about the characters, what they did, what their problem was, and you're going to come up with like 1 to 2 sentences per part, no more than that. So on my chart over here, I already have my chart split up into 3 parts, and I have them labeled B, M, and E for beginning, middle, and end. So the story that I just retold, thinking about the characters, I had the 3 little pigs, had the big bad wolf. Their setting, they were in different houses. So the story was set in the straw house, in the stick house, and the brick house. And the problem, well, these pigs were trying to get away from this wolf who was trying to eat them. So I go to my beginning. I think about what happened in the beginning of the story. 3 little pigs, Mom said they needed to get out. They needed to go build new houses. It was kind of important to know what their houses were made out of because the straw house and the stick house fell down really easily, but the brick house didn't. So for my beginning, I put, first, the 3 little pigs need to leave their mom's house, so they go their own ways and build houses out of straw, sticks, and bricks. I started that with the word first because I want to go in order and I want to show whoever is reading it that we are going in order. So for the middle part, I will use the word next to show that this is the next important thing. The middle is where all the action was. The middle is where the big bad wolf came and he was huffing and puffing and blowing houses down. And I really liked the huffing and the puffing and the little pig, let me in parts. But I don't think those words are necessary for the reader or the person that you're talking to understand what's going on. So that's one of those things that's going to be extra information that you probably don't want to include in your summary. So let's see, for middle. I have next, the big bad wolf goes to the first 2 houses of straw and sticks and blows them down when the pigs won't let him in. Okay, got my beginning, got my middle. Now I need to think about what happened at the end of the story. How did the pigs solve their problem? How did they escape the big bad wolf? So I know he tried to blow down the house and he didn't. He climbed up on the roof and was going to go down the chimney. And they put a hot pot of water under there. And I think that was really, really clever of those pigs, especially pig number 3. But in a summary, I'm not trying to show what my opinion is. Again, that's extra words that don't really help the reader understand anything. So we're gonna stick to just the facts of the story, what happened in the story, not how I feel about it. So I'm gonna start it with finally, to show this is the last thing that's happening. Finally, the big bad wolf gets to the 3rd pig's house of bricks. He can't blow it down because it's too strong, and when he tries to climb down the chimney, he lands in hot water. And you'll notice that that one's actually 2 sentences. We had a lot of thoughts there, and I thought it was easier to split it into 2 sentences than to jumble them all into one, and that's okay. 1 to 2 sentences is fine. So remember, a summary is short, it's brief, it's only a couple sentences. For us, we did beginning, middle, and end, and it was 1 sentence in each and then 2 in the last one. And remember not to make the same mistakes I did in the beginning. We're not telling the whole story. We're just telling the most important parts. And being able to summarize will help you understand what you're reading, whether it be a picture book or a chapter book or nonfiction, anything at all. If you stop every once in a while, summarize what you read. Think about what the most important parts were. It'll help you be a better reader. Now that we've talked about writing a summary, we're going to read a fable and think about how we would summarize it using beginning, middle, and end. And we're actually going to look at some already written summaries and see what works and what doesn't. Before I read this story, I want you to notice the picture of the fox and the picture of the stork. Knowing that the stork is a tall bird that has a long beak will be important when you're listening to this story. The fox and the stork. The fox one day thought of a plan to amuse himself at the expense of the stork, at whose odd appearance he was always laughing. "You must come and dine with me today," he said to the stork, smiling at himself at the trick he was going to play. The stork gladly accepted the invitation and arrived in good time and with very good appetite. For dinner the fox served soup, but it was set out in a very shallow dish, and all the stork could do was to wet the very tip of his bill. Not a drop of soup could he get. But the fox lapped it up easily and, to increase the disappointment of the stork, made a great show of enjoyment. The hungry stork was much displeased at the trick, but he was a calm, even-tempered fellow and saw no good in flying into a rage. Instead, not long afterward, he invited the fox to dine with him in turn. The fox arrived promptly at the time that had been set, and the stork served a fish dinner that had a very appetizing smell. But it was served in a tall jar with a very narrow neck. The stork could easily get at the food with his long bill, but all the fox could do was to lick the outside of the jar and sniff at the delicious odor. And when the fox lost his temper, the stork said calmly, "Do not play tricks on your neighbors unless you can stand the same treatment yourself." So thinking about the beginning, the middle, and the end, look at the first example of a summary. This is a story about foxes and storks. Foxes live in the woods. Storks live in wetlands. Foxes are way cooler than storks. The author of this summary has put in his own facts and an opinion into his summary that really don't tell us about the story. Remember, a summary is a brief statement, a short statement about the main points of a story, what happened. And this summary doesn't tell us what happened. So if I hadn't read the story just now, I would still not have any idea what was going on in this book, in this story. Looking at summary example 2, it says the fox played a trick on the stork and invited him to dinner, but the stork couldn't reach the food. That actually happened in the story. And that kind of tells me what the beginning and the middle of the story was about. But it doesn't mention the end and how the stork did the same trick on the fox. So this summary is a good start, but it needs to be finished. And then looking at summary example 3, the fox wanted to play a trick on the stork. The stork came over for dinner and the fox put the plate where the stork couldn't reach. To get back at him, the stork invited the fox over for dinner and put the food where the fox couldn't reach. This summary gives me what happened in the beginning, what happened in the middle, and what happened at the end. This would be a good summary to show beginning, middle, and end, and let me know if I hadn't read the story, what